Good day, warm welcome to the session of Power Boost. My name's Judy and delighted to be with you today. And today we're going to take up this idea of simplicating. So we've got this propensity sometimes to complicate. Seems we live in an increasingly complicated world. We're multitasking. Perhaps there's the pressure of time, so many responsibilities and roles, and they all kind of pile up in our head. And we might find ourselves feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, anxious, crying out to meditate, crying out for things to be simpler. Even today, I was laughing, I was with a soul, and we were talking about, because we were both quite ancient, so we were talking about the days when the phone was attached to the wall. You did not carry it around with you. It was called a landline. It'll probably be in a museum very soon, the rotary phone. So it was attached to the wall. And there was no email. There was no email. I want you to see if you can imagine that kind of world. There was no email. And when you were with people, you actually made eye-to-eye contact rather than eye-to-device contact. And it was just very different. The device and the technology is not bad. It actually is simply picking up on something we are doing internally, which is really not having the strength to keep things simple. So we'll see if we can exercise this capacity to simplicate that we feel so hungry for. So sitting comfortably, and again, if you want to experiment with eyes open in a natural way, you're always invited to give that a try. And starting in a very simple way with a couple of breaths. Taking that breath in and then very slowly feeling the air release from the lungs that magically starts to slow everything down. And maybe another breath in and that slower exhale, dissolving hidden tension in the body. And in a very natural and gentle way, bringing me into a state of focus. Shifting my focus from the lungs, from the body, upwards to that place behind the forehead, my own inner world. This is where I spend my time 24/7. Closer to me than anything else is my own inner world. And it's a powerful space of thoughts and the associated feelings, memories, decisions, perspectives, attitudes. It's a very full space, even though everything in it is completely invisible, not physical at all, but very real. It has an effect on me, what's going on in my inner world. I become the observer and start to move through my inner world, giving attention to what's going on. Just takes a second or two to assess the state of my inner world. And very often, it seems surprisingly complicated in there. There's a very long to-do list. There's also what's been done list. So much of the past. And there's so many thoughts, feelings swirling around in what may not seem a very coherent pattern. A lot of activity that just speeds up my mind. And what comes to me most powerfully when I move into my inner world is the overall feeling of that space. Is it peaceful? Is it anxious? Is it heavy? Is it light? That takes less than a second to experience. And what I know is I would love for my inner world, where I spend all my time, I would love for it to be light, simple, calm. Intuitively, I know I operate at my best in the outer world when my inner world is in a very simple state. I can address and respond all sorts of complications outside if I'm very simple inside. And so I'm starting to move through my inner world, going deeper and deeper, as if towards the center of my inner world, allowing all those thoughts and feelings, all those lists and issues, for now, to fade into the background. That craving for simplicity driving me deeper and deeper into my inner world, allowing all of the complexity to fade away until I arrive at a single point inside. The one thing that is perhaps most neglected in all that activity within, that one thing is remembering the self. That simple state of being. That's what I've been craving. To stop running around in my mind, become more quiet and still, and feel very centered, connected to myself, not neglecting myself. I am the very center of my inner world, the center of that inner universe. Everything is swirling around me. All those thoughts and feelings, attitudes, they're all generated by me at the center. So if I focus on myself, the state of myself, automatically, everything else will be in alignment with how I am. So I focus just on the self, as if I am this single star in the center of my inner universe. I am the source of life, the living being, the thinker, the observer. The most important thing in my inner world is me. And how am I? Or perhaps, who am I? This craving I have for peace, for simplicity, perhaps that has something to do with who I am. The roles and responsibilities, those are all temporary aspects of my life. But at the core, the essence of self, the parts that are not temporary but eternal, I am a soul, a living being moving through time, expressing and experiencing. That which is most valuable, and I often seek outside, is actually packed within me, the soul. Within me is an unlimited reservoir of peace, always there, just a thought away. But I'm often tied up in the complications. Now I'm free, available, present. I become quiet, still, and listen. Listen to hear, to feel my true nature of peace. This deep sense of calm that runs through me, always there. I'm able to experience simply by paying attention, remembering, coming to the point. And the moment I experience that peace, it's as if it sends a flood of simplicity through my entire inner world, helping me to recognize what is important and what is not. That flood of peace from within simplicates my entire inner world in just a second. And that flood of peace reminds me of what is most valuable: the self, the state of the self. To keep the self connected to my own peaceful nature. That's the most important aspect of my inner world. Om Shanti.